What they're doing, if they choose to continue promoting fossil fuel interests, that what the consequences of that will be, and we all know what they'll be. So that more death and destruction. The thing is that the people that are affected the most first are the people who've contributed the least to it.
I think you see it every year when the wattles start to flower halfway through winter. You know, the wattles never used to start to flower until spring. That's how you know spring's arrived, because the wattles start to flower. But they don't start in spring, they start, you know, the last few years that I can remember, it's halfway into winter and you're already flowering. There's a very natural sign. Things are heating up unnaturally. It was 2019, June or July, just out of complete despair at the election result. It was supposed to be the climate election. The emergency was well and truly upon us, and clearly the Australian public didn't get that. Yeah, and we ended up with a Conservative government again. We were being completely captured by the fossil fuel industry, and I found myself in a deep state of despair. I just knew I had to do something. Action is the antidote to despair. My name's Brad Homewood. I drive a mini mix concrete truck fleet. If I'm arrested today, it will be my 7th arrest for Extinction Rebellion. So I've got a good idea of what to expect. You go into an action like this knowing that you're going to make a personal sacrifice, because basically that's what it takes to do an action like this, put yourself in an arrestable position. And unfortunately, that's what we need to do to try and get the media's attention. If there's no arrestable positions, the media mostly are not interested at all. So some of us need to make that personal sacrifice.
Yeah, you go through a stage of saying, oh, this is bad, but you know, the cavalry will ride up and save us. I was a victim of probably watching too many westerns as a kid, and had memories of the cavalry riding up to save the day. It just became more and more obvious that that wasn't going to happen. We don't always hear about it, but well, let's say most weeks, there's an extreme weather event somewhere in the world where people die, and there's lots and lots and lots of destruction. And the impact that has on their loved ones, their families, their friends, yeah, it's incalculable. I was christened Anthony Cornelius Gleeson. I tend to be called Tony. My occupation is a volunteer climate activist, and I taught for many years, so I guess an educator essentially.
We're strictly non-violent, so and in a pure sense of the word, so that means non-violent action, but also non-violent words. And generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, white privilege and all, that means we tend to get treated fairly well, but not always.
Exxon knew, Exxon lied, now our kids are terrified. Exxon knew, Exxon lied, now our kids are terrified. Exxon knew, Exxon lied.
In the past, it took decades to get the changes that were needed. Right? We don't have decades.
Not only do we not have decades, we don't even have a decade.
So I guess it's time for people, if they are concerned, to show that concern publicly. And that doesn't mean going out and getting arrested. There's lots of roles that don't involve that. So it's people to not be intimidated by the system.
Yeah, what can you say? We tried everything else and nothing's working. Nothing's working. So, yeah, I guess this has been 10 years or so for me in the making. And I guess that I'm doing it because of, particularly because of my 5 grandkids, but also because of, people are suffering now. The people that are suffering the most are the ones that have contributed the least. And we're escalating this today to, just to show we're not going away. And hopefully there's a few people that are inspired by this and start doing things as well. It's all about numbers for politicians, and that's what we're hoping comes from this. There are a whole lot of people in the States that were alive yesterday that aren't alive today because they were smashed by tornadoes during the night. So it's happening all the time. We just can't ignore it. The mainstream media is, but that's why we're here.
I don't know what it says about me, but I enjoy the interaction with the police and explaining to them why I'm doing it and talking about their kids. And the dialogue with them has changed considerably over the years as well. It's like, they're saying, okay, I've got a charge, but good on you, keep doing it.
Now we've tried negotiations and the 3-man picket line. Mr. Morrison didn't see us, and he might as well be blind. Now our new ways are nice, and we deal with men of ice. But if that is the planet's price, we don't mind. It is nice to block the doorway. It is nice to go to jail. There are nice ways to do it, but the nice ways always fail. It isn't nice, it isn't nice. You told us once, you told us twice, but if that is the planet's price, we don't mind.
I've tried, but I've also been set up to fail because of these systems that we exist within, and because of companies like Exxon that don't give a shit if every koala dies tomorrow as long as they're still making profit for their shareholders. Every one of those shareholders is culpable. Everybody who makes decisions in companies like these, I want to say needs to be put on trial. At some point there's going to be the climate trials, and the people who've been making these decisions are going to be held accountable. It's not the workers. We're not here to blame the workers. It's not their fault. The people making decisions in parliaments, the people making decisions in boardrooms, all of them are culpable, and all of them, they'll either be held accountable or there isn't going to be a history book for them to be held accountable in.
For me, I think of it not so much as a long campaign as a really short campaign, because we win in the next year or two, or we don't. And at that point, I'm going to party like there's no tomorrow, because there will be no tomorrow, no livable tomorrow. Here we are with a really good crowd at Exxon-Mobil today, and this is just the start. There's people who've been waiting for the chance to get on the streets. This year is the year we've got to do it, because win now, move into civil resistance, or in a couple of years party like there's no tomorrow and live with regret unless you join us while there's still time. It's no use waiting till next year. It's no use waiting till it's more convenient. There'll never be a convenient time to get up in the early morning and come down to Exxon-Mobil, but it's the most important thing you can do right now.
The oceans are rising. No more compromising. 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 Woo!
And even when we win, it's still going to continue the injustices of the world that we have faced up until this point. And so when we talk about climate justice, we mean taking part in swift and decisive direct action forever. This is not going to stop. There is always going to be something we have to fight for to protect this place from corruption until we're able to mitigate for the breaches of power that have corrupted our world thus far and get rid of the unjust structures of power that have destroyed all ability for us to do things in a so-called democratic way. And so today we're blocking the entrance to one fuel terminal, and people are going to continue doing this until they don't exist anymore. And that is the long and short of it. We need to take part in direct action, and if you're watching this and you haven't done it yet, there's going to be another one, and another one after that, and another one after that.
But as we know, the major security issue that we're facing is climate crisis. Climate crisis is the major issue that we're fighting. We have a situation at the moment where the government pretends the security issue is, I don't even know, defence. What does that mean? And they're spending $30 billion in a year on a weapons industry. Shame! $30 billion a year that could be spent on the climate crisis, because that's the actual emergency. The actual emergency is? The climate crisis. The actual emergency is?
The climate crisis!
We know that that's the actual emergency, but the government doesn't actually attend to actual emergencies. The government actually attends to the corporate interests that run its own bureaucracy. The government is in fact a bureaucracy organised to work for the corporations, the fossil fuel corporations and the weapons corporations.
If we can create more time, we've got more chance of getting more media and that's reaching more people. So it's probably not what you want to hear. No, that's not right. But at the same time, because we've been recently said that we might want 10 o'clock, the superiors haven't accepted that. Personally, it makes me feel a little nervous about what not personally against you, but make you with us. Because I think we have been very recently.
Like I've done a number of actions. Now I was really happy to do it beside Brad because I know and trust that that he'll do what he says he's going to do. Really happy to be to do it with him. It was an honour to do it with him, but it was just, I knew, and the thing with XR, you just know, one of the rare times in my life that everyone did what they said they were going to do. Everyone had a role, everyone played that role, and I had full confidence that that would happen.
They're still throwing fuel on the fire, and that fire's going to consume us all. That's the world we're looking at. These people have known about it for 50 years, and they've doubled down, and they've bought dodgy politicians, corrupt politicians, and they've spent tens of millions of dollars funding the climate goals.
It's clearly a code red for humanity, as the United Nations have clearly stated. We've known it's a climate emergency for at least a decade now. I don't know how many more times that can be said. But you know, code red is a code red. It's not a 24-hour news headline.
Police have descended on a Yarraville fuel terminal, arresting 2 climate protesters locked to a concrete-filled steel drum. Extinction Rebellion claims Exxon-Mobil is one of the biggest polluters on the planet.
How do you feel about going to court again?
Yeah, look, I'm not fazed by court, to be honest. This will be my 3rd time in court. I've been represented by a barrister previously. I've learned a lot from that process, and one of the big learnings from that is that a barrister has a sworn duty not to waste the time at the court. So they try to get you through as quickly as they can, and you don't even get to have your say or tell the magistrate why you did what you did. I don't like that part of it, to be honest. I feel a little bit robbed, in a sense. So Tony, myself and some others in the movement have made the decision that we will self-represent from now on. We have a pretty good understanding of how the system works, and we've done some training courses with some very experienced activists who have represented themselves as well. And at least that way, we get to stand in front of the magistrate and we get to tell them why we did what we did. And we speak from the heart. And you know, hopefully over time, more people doing that, we can nudge the jurisprudence in the right direction, the philosophy of the law.
So after today's action, you'll be going to court?
Yes.
And you've been there before?
Yes, I have.
So how do you feel about going again?
Oh, it's no... Yeah, I don't know whether it's stupidity or on my part or what, but I think the whole system relies on us being intimidated by it, and I don't feel intimidated at all. And I think I don't think I know, we've decided, a number of people have said that we need to make court part of the process of the campaign. And what typically happens is that you go to court, the charges are read, the magistrate gives you a lecture about the importance of not breaking the law, and you lose all currency as soon as you break the law. And you feel like saying, well, if we've tried all that, has it worked? So we either give up or you do this, and that's the choice has been to do this.
That went pretty well, Tone. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, it was good. Felt good to be part of it.
Everything went to plan?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit disappointing we didn't end up in the same police car, but at the end, I was sort of looking forward to having a bit of a chat on the way to that.
Yeah, they have a tendency to separate us, don't they?
They do.
They do.
They do.
They like to keep us apart.
Yeah.
Maybe they're onto us. Maybe they know this is not the first time we've done this together.